Hello guys, I've got an interesting vehicle for you today. This is the German Heuschrecke, or Grasshopper in English, which is a prototype vehicle from World War II. As you can see, this particular kit is by Dragon and is in 1/35th scale. And this is a great example of something that Dragon do really well, making unusual sort of prototype or one-off vehicles using the sprues and so on from their more common kits. So let me tell you a little bit about the real vehicle and then we will look at the kit itself. So there is a bit of conflicting information out there about the Grasshopper, but what seems certain is that prototypes were developed in 1942-1943 and it was scheduled to enter full production in 1945, but that never happened. Some sources say that 3 prototypes were built, others say that 2 were built followed by another initial 10. It's not 100% clear. I did also read in one source that those 10 prototypes were used on the Eastern Front in a kind of trial capacity. Now, one thing you'll notice about the Grasshopper is these large wheels on the back of the vehicle, and they're there for a very particular reason, because the Grasshopper has the unique ability to remove the turret. It can be lifted off using the built-in crane mechanism, as you can see here. Then the turret can either be deployed as a ground-based artillery piece, with the main vehicle then acting as a sort of ammunition carrier, or the turret can be loaded onto the steel frame with those large wheels added, and it can be towed behind the vehicle as a trailer. And the reason you would do that is to allow the main vehicle to carry more ammunition. Although promise was seen in the Grasshopper design, the war situation in Germany at the time meant that production was focused on existing tank models rather than developing new ones. So let's head back to the kit. This is sort of classic Dragon style artwork and box. You can see here we've got the overall Dunkelgelb artwork on the side. There's only one scheme in this box, although I guess there's lots of potential for you to do your own. And then a few shots here, CAD shots of the interior. We do get a full fighting compartment interior in this, or full turret interior should I say. And you can see here on the side of the box it makes it clear that we can install the turret on the vehicle or separately on the ground or on the trailer using the parts from this kit, which is really nice to see. Let's start by looking at the instructions. Dragon instructions always remind me of old comic books or newspapers with just the black, the white and the blue printing. This is quite an old kit actually. I bought it quite a long time ago. It's been sitting in the stash for a few years. As is quite common with Dragon, quite a number of the parts on the sprue map are in blue, which means we won't need them. That's because Dragon typically combines sprues from existing kits to make these unusual prototypes. You'll notice, for example, there that we have 2 A sprues, both of which are different from each other. If we turn over to the first page, fairly standard, starting with the running gear. Sources I read said that the Grasshopper used the Panzer IV chassis and then the Hummel chassis, which itself is a modification of the Panzer III and Panzer IV chassis. So this should be fairly standard for anyone who's built a Panzer IV. As we move down the page, we're building up further components for the rear of the vehicle. We've got the floor of the fighting compartment. And then I think this is quite typical here of Dragon. We've got these suspension related pieces here on the left hand side made up of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, whereas quite a lot of manufacturers might simply mould those as one. And even down here, the ammunition box here, we've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces again for that ammunition box. That is quite typical of a Dragon kit. In step 4 we are adding the return rollers to the side of the chassis, and then some of the details in step 5 to the fighting compartment. You'll also notice in these instructions that we don't get any indication of paint call-outs throughout the instructions, so perhaps you need a bit of research and a bit of knowledge of German vehicles before you embark on something like this. I do like Dragon's attention to detail though. You'll notice that we add this piece here to the underside in step 6, which is presumably some kind of access panel or escape hatch. An access panel, I think. It's nice they include that even though most people won't look at the underside of the vehicle. The top of the fighting compartment and the engine deck go on in step 7. You can see on the right hand side there we have the option for late production and early production, which seems a little odd given that at most we had, what, 10, 12 prototypes? So I guess you can choose there as you please. That might even just be left over from instructions for a different kit, to be honest. And you'll notice there we don't have anything for the sort of transmission or the driver. So with the turret removed, you might be able to see into the front of the vehicle and see that it is empty. But that's not a huge complaint. It doesn't claim to be a full interior kit. You can see that more here in step 8 as well, how it is empty there inside. Down here in step 9 we add those gun carriage wheels to the rear. This is where things go a bit strange in these instructions. So step 9 we add those wheels on the rear. Step 10 is a bit of a mix. We're making the jack and the towing hooks. Step 11 has us putting those tools and various bits and pieces, spare track links, onto the front of the vehicle. I see a bit of an option there. We can put on apparently either MA25 or B15 on the side of the vehicle there. It doesn't say what they are, but actually I suspect that MA might be photo etch. Dragon do that quite commonly. They'll offer you a plastic part and a photo etch part, which is really nice if you're not confident with photo etch. Note that those wheels are still on the back of the vehicle in step 11 and on step 12 as we add the lifting gear. So here you've got the option to put the lifting gear in the down position or in the lifted up position. Then we actually make that gear, and you can see there it's telling us not to glue those parts, so presumably they will be movable on the final model. Step 13 and step 14 jump us back a little bit, and we're making the breech of the gun. That then goes inside the turret in the next step, and you can see that unique open top turret there. It does have some rear doors that open. Finishing off the gun mantlet. And you'll notice here in step 18 we're adding part D17 there, which is the attachment point for the wheel. And then in step 20 we're making that square frame. That's the frame that the gun rests on when it is on the ground or when it's on the trailer. And then down here we add the turret in step 21 to that frame, and we add the wheels. Those are the same wheels which were previously attached to the rear of the vehicle. So Dragon haven't really indicated there that is an option. They kind of suggest we've got 4 wheels there, but yeah, that is an option. And then over in page in step 22 we put the turret onto the vehicle. So really step 21 and step 22 are your 2 options there. You will also notice that the tracks magically appeared during the instructions without any instructions to put them on. Finally we have a single colour scheme. This is overall Dunkelgelb, which I guess would suit a prototype vehicle. I suppose we could add our own camouflage pattern there if we wanted to. We could do a bit of a what if scenario, couldn't we? Okay, let's take a look inside the kit, and as is quite common with Dragon kits, the box is pretty full. We start with this piece of card here with a few individual sprues taped to it. If we take that out of the bag, we can see we've got a sprue of tools there, a spade and an axe and a few other bits and pieces. We've got the decals and the clear parts. We've got that one-piece turret for the Grasshopper. We've got another sprue of tools, and then we've got some photo etch parts down there. I don't remember seeing that many photo etch parts on the instructions, but then again maybe I wasn't looking closely enough. Let's take a look at a couple of the sprues. This is the first sprue, which is unique to this kit. You can see we've got the top of the fighting compartment, we've got the engine deck there as well. Look at the detail on that. Those bolt heads are really lovely sized. Very neat and tidy and sharp. That's going to look good, I reckon, when I paint it. The top of the fighting compartment there. And then I think this is the floor of the fighting compartment. It looks like it, with the batteries there, I think, in the floor. And a few of the bits and pieces. Then we have this sprue here, which has some very long fender pieces on it. Lovely sort of non-slip texture on those. They are really big, aren't they? This part here I think is part of the lifting gear for the turret. Then we've got a few sort of bulkheads and armor panels and things like that for the various parts of the vehicle. Not actually a lot on that sprue, to be honest. Here we have the turret ring and what looks like a few parts for the gun itself. So we've got part of the breech there, I think. We've got the mantlet, we've got the doors for the rear of the turret. We've got part of the barrel and a few of the bits and pieces. Here is another sprue unique to this kit, and we have two of those. This has got the gun carriage wheels on it, plus it's got these stakes here for holding the turret down when it is deployed separately. Look at the lovely detail on that. It's even got the holes in the stakes there. That's really nice. I know you could drill them out yourself if they weren't there, but it's really nice to have them provided. We've got the ammunition boxes here, a couple of shells there. Very nice stuff. Here is the single piece chassis, or hull rather. Again, very good detail here on the outside of it. We've got some bolt head detail there, some rivet detail, various access panels and so on the underside. I'm quite impressed with this so far. A couple of small sprues here, these are the parts for the square frame that the turret will sit on the trailer or on the ground. And then a slightly odd sprue here. This one, as you can see, is just German gear, and it is, as the name suggests, helmets, bayonets, entrenching tools, things like that. I guess a lovely addition to make the fighting compartment and the vehicle look a bit lived in. We don't actually get any figures with this kit. I suppose in a way that's quite an unusual addition because as a prototype vehicle this wouldn't really have been lived in, but I suppose if you wanted to do a what if scenario that would be perfect. We have a sprue here marked Stug 3 which contains some of the gun and breech parts, so presumably then they are transferable. And then a generic G sprue which is more tools. We're going to have some leftovers here for sure. There's at least 2 spades on that sprue there. And then last but not least we have the Dragon Magic Tracks. I hear mixed things about these. I have built some of these a long time ago, way before my channel. I can't remember how they went together, but certainly they are well moulded. You can see they've got the guide horns there with the hole in them, which is quite nice. You can just see that one there. If I remember correctly, I think getting them aligned in a straight line might be quite difficult because we don't get a jig or anything, but we'll see how they go. I think I'd rather have this than cutting them off the sprue. And there we go guys, that was my quick look at the Grasshopper IVb from Dragon. As I said, I've had this kit for a while, but I'm really keen to build it soon. However, I do also want to clear my desk because I've got quite a few other projects on the go at the moment. At the very least, I've got the Centaur, which I started a while ago, to finish painting and weathering. I've got a big first project for me coming up. I've got a small diorama I'm working on with an older build from a few years ago. I've got the Defiant Night Fighter, and I've got a couple of 3D prints that I want to paint up for you. In addition, I've got a couple of new pieces of equipment to show you. I've got a model of a jet engine to build, and I've got a lovely book review coming up too. So if you would like to see any of those things and much more, then please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching. Special thanks to my YouTube members and Patreon supporters. Many of these people have been supporters now for several years and it's really appreciated. Thank you very much guys, it makes a huge difference. And thank you to all of you for watching, and until the next video, have fun modelling.